Hello, 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 and welcome to yet another Q&A Thursday here at the Rag Company, where I'm joined by none other than Sydney Bragwin. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You've been a great host every time you've been on, and we're hoping to make it more of a regular thing. And it will be because... Well, Anthony's out busy having a baby, I'm sure, right now. I mean, he's not having a baby, but he's going to be a dad. So
good for him.
Again. Anyway, that is all I'm throwing out there for right now. We've got the wonderful Carson behind us. He is setting up to do a detail. He's got some cool gear, some different products and things he's going to be using on this wash. Tell us about it, Carson. How are you doing your wash today?
So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done on this Rav4, so I got my work cut out for me. We're using a lot of ADS products, throwing it back with a little bit of Optimum Car Wash soap.
Nice.
And then we're going to be doing Sid's Wash Clay Seal with some of the amazing PNS products. We did over here at TRC, we got our new sprayers, so we may try that out here. So other than that, I'm going to be just working in the background.
All right, man. Well, we'll check back in on you as you're working just to show people what's up, what's going on. You just saw Troy pass by, new guy. He's giving the big old thumbs up. He's cool. You'll meet him later, I'm sure. And as far as everything else goes, you guys just sit back, enjoy the ride, and leave us comments. Drop your questions, detailing related, in the comments. I promise that today is meant to brighten your day. That's the idea. I'm kind of taking a different approach with these Q&As now. I'm trying to throw it out there as like, here's an opportunity. Come hang out with us. We're going to have a chill time. And it doesn't have to be strictly about the exact process, but if you ask us process questions, we will talk about them. Anyway.
Yeah. And can we just talk about the fact that everyone always brings up that we don't wash dirty cars?
Right.
You guys, this car is so
dirty Rav4.
Dirty.
I promise you. You may not know it, but look at the the
standing dirt
along the top of that bumper there, the seam loaded with just crusty, dusty action there. It's everywhere. You guys
It is so dirty.
Are looking at
even myself
car,
always laugh and think, oh man, that car's not dirty. But man, I'm not joking. In studio, you guys, they're so dirty.
Also, that's to say nothing of the interior, which they were messing with earlier today, using some different stuff on some live streams. I believe they're doing TikTok or possibly Amazon. So guys, we're everywhere. We're doing live streams all over the place. You may recognize Carson from some of those. So he's a busy guy. He knows what he's doing. We like Carson. Carson's great.
Yep.
All right. So let me get these comments and questions up on the board. Let's start with
let's do it.
Tamra. Welcome, Tamra, with a hello, everyone.
Hi, Tamra.
Hello, Tamra. Sorry it's not Lucas, but Sydney is wonderful, too. And, I'm not trading places with Lucas because I gotta host, regardless here. So
I'll probably never know how to run that thing.
It's okay. I do it so that others don't have to suffer, except maybe Anthony once in a while. But for the next couple weeks, he'll be out, so you'll be with me.
Perfect.
We got Tamra. All right, bringing up her question. I used my new foam cannon I ordered from you, and I love it. Made my pre-wash go so much faster, and I didn't have to hand pump anything. Yay. Thank you, Tamra.
I do love a good foam cannon.
Feedback is always good. Even if it's like tough, critical, whatever, you got to throw it at us. We're all ears. We want to improve your experiences, so you guys let us know what is going on in your worlds. All right, I got Alex Dewar with a happy Friday Eve. Love you all. Hope everyone is well.
We
Alex,
love you too, Alex.
Right back at you.
Yes.
Always happy to see Alex. Then I've got David Boyce. Oh, good old David. My toupee, no longer a thing. He's accepted that this is, in fact, my real hair. And I appreciate that, David. I really do. David says, Anthony or Dane, it would be nice to see the wheel and body brush I bought from you guys 2 years ago. Let's see you use some paint panels demonstrating how safe it is. Ooh, challenge. Maybe Carson could do something like that. I don't know. We'll have to see. Depends on how he's feeling.
We can work.
All right. And David also says, good afternoon, everyone. Sydney, talk about your process using a decon soap to remove mineral deposits. Are you using the clay sponge as part of your contact wash?
Yeah, generally. So let's see. When I'm doing a decon soap, now generally mineral spots, are we talking like actual water spots? Because generally speaking, a decon soap's not going to remove water spots. Yeah. So you may have to actually add in a mineral spot remover if you have those. But in my normal decon process, I'm usually using something like You know, a decon, obviously any of the foaming decon soaps, there's lots of great ones out there. You know, Frostbite, there's the decon soap from Armor and stuff. They're all great. I love them all. So I'll usually do a foam, and then generally speaking, because I primarily do rinseless wash, my favorite process in a decon is to spray the Frostbite or the whatever, you know, do the decon, then I rinse it, and then I do my normal rinseless wash and clay at that point. But let's say we're using soap the whole time, so then I would do my decon soap, rinse it, foam it with another soap like Shampoo Plus or something like that. And then, yes, absolutely, if it is that bad, you can grab your clay sponge and just use the Shampoo Plus as your clay lube. Absolutely. Especially, I mean, really either way, if you're not doing paint correction, but the car's kind of just in so-so condition, that's totally okay to do. But if you're really doing a major decon to, say, do a paint correction and coating, just knock it out, right? That's all about efficiency at that point. So yes, love the clay sponge. I pretty much do it on every single car.
All right. And I got ProShine Solutions saying, what's up, everyone? Welcome, ProShine. Happy to see you here. And wait a second, what's this? Gabe Garcia.
Gabe.
Good afternoon, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in, Gabe.
He couldn't just let Carson do his thing alone. He had to come in and, you know.
He likes to watch Carson, that's for sure.
Yes, he does. Hans with a hello.
Hi,
Let's
Hans.
go. I agree, Hans. Let's go. David Boyce. What's David saying?
Anthony, when it comes to repairing tears or holding the leather vinyl seats, are you cutting out and inserting backing cloth using a spatula to apply a leather filler and then painting over the filler? Now, I don't even know the answer to this. I've never had to do that. And I would love to take a color lock class, but I have not taken one.
And I know Anthony's done a bunch of these ones, and it really is kind of based on your very specific scenario with the seat you're working on.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, David, you should pay attention to the thumbnails I post and the description I put on these videos, because, in fact, before the live happens, I let you know who's going to be in the show. And Anthony, nowhere to be found today. I'm sorry. He's really
him for
busy.
A couple weeks.
But it's going to be a couple weeks before you see him again, for a good reason. But, you know, he just had to do it. Anyway, to answer your question, are you cutting out and inserting backing cloth, then using a spatula to apply leather filler, then painting over the filler? Okay, just making sure on that, because I have seen him do this stuff before, but cutting out the backing. Okay, so he's talking. Oh, the backing cloth. Okay, that's different than the foam. For some reason, I was thinking of the actual like supportive foam, but yeah, I've seen him do it the way you're describing there, but once again, it is very specific. Without seeing a picture and knowing what scenario you're talking about, I don't want to profess to know until I see it. So really better directed towards the color lock guys if you want to get a little more feedback on that. Sorry, David, I definitely want to help you. But next up, we've got Archie Nerd here saying, good afternoon, TRC and chat. Spring is springing here in Calgary, Canada.
Nice. Glad it's not freezing anymore.
Warmer weather.
That's good.
We had the hot weather kicking in for the last couple weeks, and it finally just died back down, so it's kind of chill now. So what's Travis saying here, Sydney?
Can paint gloss be used as a drying aid and for a clay lube? Yes, and paint gloss can actually be used for, 20 different uses. So absolutely, it's a great drying aid. It's not always my first choice, but it absolutely can be used as a drying aid. And then excellent clay lube, for sure. Love paint gloss.
And then I've got AT4. Oh, Alpha Tango. You shorten your name down big time.
Look at that.
Now you're a GMC trim level. Okay, y'all are going to have to redo the waiting vid. Dana's half that size now. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. I am down quite a bit. I know I still feel like a big guy in the camera. It's 10 pounds and all that. Probably has 20 if we're honest. But I'm definitely a smaller person than I was during the shoot of that video. So thank you. All right, moving down the line here, let's get ProShine shouting out Carson saying blackjack in the house. Yeah. And Ann Longfield here. Anna saying, y'all,
Hi, Anna.
I am back. I'm happy to see you, Anna. Thank you for joining back in. It's been a minute since we've seen you in the chat.
Totally.
Thank you, and ProShine agrees. Long time no see. Now, we got DS saying Optimum Car Wash, a.k.a. Blue Jello. You know, I I'm down with that. It's really close in terms of the color to that kind of blue Jello. It is cool.
Yeah.
And you know what? People sleep on that stuff because they're so used to O&R taking all the credit for washing and the Optimum lineup. But Optimum Car Wash is a very solid soap. All right. Wheelie Good Auto Detailing. One of my favorite names in the biz.
That is
Sydney,
really good.
What's Wheelie Good saying?
He says, happy Thursday, everyone. My students found my business YouTube channel and are quoting my videos at me. Not the way I wanted to go viral. I'll catch the rest of the Q&A later.
Oh, no, Wheelie Good. Better go save your butt. Yeah.
Too funny.
Oh, well, there are worse fates, I
Yep.
will say. Going viral for any number of reasons. That one, at least it's, all in good fun. All in good
Yep.
spirit. Hans saying, I miss Levi.
No, we all do,
buddy,
Hans.
we do. But he definitely is around. If you haven't noticed, AutoWash, the YouTube channel, they've
Yeah.
been doing live Q&As
Yeah.
over there as well.
Yep.
Because I think he kind of missed doing
Yeah.
it here. So
Yeah.
you can catch him and Dylan over there.
Yep.
I believe it's every Friday or every other Friday.
Yeah.
They kind of had
I think
it
it's
set
every
up
other,
where it's
yeah.
like every 2 weeks
Yep.
they do it.
And I've tuned into a couple of them and all the same normal faces. So, yeah, head on over.
Incidentally,
Yeah.
the crowd will follow.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, give him a chance, man. Anna here. Yeah, life hit hard. It's been a couple of months.
Oh.
No, Anna, I hope things are getting better for you.
Yep.
We certainly
and we're
both
happy
do.
that you're here.
And then I've got Proshine saying it has. I was wondering where you were at during Tiersema. Either way, glad you're back and I hope everything's well. Sounds like things are hopefully on the up and up. Then we got Mike G here saying, hey, everyone. And Ryan Rigdon with a happy Friday Eve, gang.
Yes.
Nice to see you, Ryan. And DS, I got my new slim drying towels. They definitely have a different smell right out of the bag. Is that from the printing process? I would say yes, there's definitely going to be a factor of that. It's one of those things that you try and dial that out as much as possible, but sometimes you do something a little different with the process to make a cool towel, and there are trade-offs.
Yep.
So hopefully
For
that can be
sure.
refined in the future, but for now, yeah, you get a little bit of that process smell going through the bag. But once it's out of the bag, I mean, the
Yeah.
bag concentrates it. So as soon as
Yep.
that's gone and the first wash goes by, you don't really have anything to worry about. Speaking of slim dryers, we are loving using them around here. Carson, I know I'm derailing you. You had a slim dryer, and you were going to show it off.
The ice gray slim dryer right here.
Yes.
Amazing towel. One of my favorites in the lineup for sure. But
Nice.
today I'm going to be using the other new one. So,
Yeah, the one people can't get yet. So very nice of you to just keep people on their toes.
you got to keep the hype going, you know? So coming soon, hopefully.
That's the M22, by the way,
Yes.
for people who are out of the loop and you missed it during Tiersema. The M22 coming hopefully soon, although I will say you might have to wait a minute on those. Slim dryers are here now, though, and if you know what's good for you, you will partake. I got to say, like, people didn't know there were going to be more colors available for them. You got the blue,
Yeah.
you got the gray, and you got the camo. The camo is what we showed off during Tiersema because we don't have a lot of towels that have that crazy of a print on them or anything, so that was a fun opportunity. But the blue looks great. I showed that off during last week's wash. And the gray, it's a classic. Nobody's mad at like a really good gray. So we
Yeah.
got that covered too for all of you who prefer a more monochrome experience.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll be opening mine tonight. So I ordered some last week and they accidentally shipped them to me. So
Why would we ship it
I
to
know
you?
Lucas was trying to
You're
find my order
literally
earlier
here.
and he's like, it says it's in a parcel box. And I was
that's
like, that's
funny.
at my house. So yeah, so I'll be opening mine tonight. I've been waiting. And so yeah, they accidentally got shipped.
Imagine,
Just down the road,
imagine
yeah.
just
Yeah.
the ridiculous scenario of
Yeah.
something gets shipped to you
Right.
and then like somebody decides to be a porch pirate and they
Yeah.
go and steal your stuff
I
and you're
know,
like,
right? Yeah.
it was right there.
Yeah.
And well, I guess
So
it's easy
funny.
to pick up a different one, but I hope for everybody who runs into that scenario, like I just hope it doesn't happen.
I know, right?
But it's out of your control at a certain point.
Yep.
Anyway, Anna Longfield here saying, I tried to pop in, but couldn't stay more than a couple minutes at a time. Well, Anna, every little bit counts, so thank you. And Alec Martinez here. What's he saying?
He says, hey guys, looking for a good pre-wash to foam on that won't remove any coating. What are your suggestions?
What you
So
got?
here's the first thing. I keep seeing this where people are kind of concerned about their coatings or coatings on wheels. So let's just remember that we're putting the coatings on the car because they're chemically impervious and they're meant to stand up to a stronger life. So I am not aware of any pre-wash or foam that will remove a coating.
Okay.
There could be some on the market that might remove, say, like a spray coating or a coating. Now a lot of the car washes
Ceramic
have this
sealants,
ceramic
that kind
sealant.
of
Yeah.
stuff.
So
Yeah.
that stuff could be removed, but probably nothing's going to remove an actual coating, so we can not worry about that. But a good pre-wash to foam on any car, including ones that are coated, really any of them that we carry here at the Rag Company. There's, tons of them. There's ones from Kosh. There's, GFX, the Decon soap, Shampoo Plus, Frostbite. Honestly, any of those are good. I have not used any that I didn't like. So I think
that's
any
good.
of those you're safe, and I promise you're safe to use on a real ceramic coating. You're good.
And that's the big point you're drawing, the
Yeah.
distinction there
Yeah.
about a real coating,
Yeah.
one that was applied properly,
Right.
all that stuff. If you did it yourself, you
Yep.
know what you did, you know what the procedures are, great.
Yeah.
But for people who just took it on faith, if they bought a car from someone who said
Right.
it was coated with a multi-year coating, things
Yeah.
like that, where you're a little separated from the experience and you don't know
Yeah.
for sure what's on there. I
Yep.
mean, obviously, you can't have any guarantees if
Yeah.
you didn't witness it, but it, like she says, it should be fine on any properly applied coating. However, there are a lot of people out there who, like you said, have like a ceramic sealant, spray on something
Yeah.
or other, and they'll call it a coating, but it's not really.
Right.
That stuff may not survive. And I think that's what a lot of
Yeah.
people are getting
Yeah.
confused by online. Oh, my,
Yeah.
hydrophobics are gone or whatever. It's like,
Right.
what was on there may very well have not been a
Yeah,
coating.
and to be honest, there's not even a lot of pre-washes or foams that are going to strip just a ceramic sealant, like say Defender. That's not going to be stripped just from a soap. The ones that I can think that would maybe for sure be stripped would be like the ceramic drying aid that they put at the
Yeah.
car wash, but most soaps are going to be pretty safe.
Yeah. All right. So next up on the list here, I got Jesse Grease saying, "Hey guys, the KC Protective Wax. Can you foam that one and rinse it off?" Doesn't really say on the bottle.
I have not used it in a foamer, but I believe I have seen it happen. You can. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's have Carson speak to that one.
Go for it, Carson, because I've never done it through a foamer.
You definitely can. The dilutions are very, very hard to understand. Typically, I put about 10 to 20 mils into like a 1 liter foam cannon and then just foam it straight on. But it sounds like Pop Rocks when it goes on, and then you just rinse it off. But yeah, Protector Wax was made with Kosh Chemi to be in like a tunnel wash. And so that's where it came from.
Speaking of which, what were you just spraying? It smells good over here
It does
now.
smell really good.
Yeah, so I'm definitely nuking these tires and wheels.
Okay.
They definitely
So I shouldn't
needed
be
it.
huffing. Got it.
No, we're just using some Armor wheel and tire cleaner and then hitting it with the sledgehammer of Alkaline Wheel Cleaner by Kosh Chemi.
Nice.
So that will sit
Excellent.
there for a minute and then we'll rinse it off.
Nice.
All right.
And I just have a follow-up, though,
Yeah.
because I know the tools. So when you say you want to put protective wax through a foam cannon, just make sure that you run like super hot water through it, maybe like
Oh, yeah.
water vinegar, because that will cure, because that protector wax is really
Yeah.
good. It will cure inside your foam cannon and ruin it. So if you do use it with this product, make sure that you run, if it were me, I would run 50-50 vinegar and water, but at least run an entire cycle of hot water to clean out your tubes in your foam cannon. For
Excellent
Sure.
point.
Yes.
Next up, I've got Green Thumb Jack's Wax Strip Wash. Is literally the best I've tried over the years. And good old Jack's Wax. Those guys are fun. And if you enjoy it, use what you like. That's a big thing, because I think when people tune into this stuff, they're expecting okay, it's going to be a rah-rah, the products we sell kind of stuff. And just to full disclosure, like a big reason we carry the products we do, we talk about the products we do, it's because it's stuff that we've actually used and vetted ourselves, and we find is personally what we enjoy using. Otherwise, we shouldn't be carrying it.
Right.
So it's one of those scenarios where people ask, well, okay, you said you like this stuff, but you carry it, so obviously there's bias. It's like, well, it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. It's like we carry it because we like it.
Yeah, right.
So that can be a little tricky to understand in this day and age where everybody thinks everyone's out to grift or get something. It's like we're doing this because we actually carry these products because we like them.
Yeah.
So that's
And-
a big factor.
And just because we don't carry it doesn't mean we think it's a bad product.
Correct.
It
and
just
that's
means
the point here is if you enjoy using that and you found it to be a great experience, you're not running into any issues, we say keep doing it. Enjoy it. Use it. If that's what you like, then we're not going to tell you otherwise.
Yep.
If there's a product where somebody says that and we do happen to know if there's like an Achilles heel to it and we're like, oh, but in this one scenario, something bad could happen, we'll like warn you about that if we're aware of some particular thing. But outside of that, I mean, there's no reason to like shy away or scare somebody off from something if they're enjoying it. So I want people to know that that's the experience, and you should share this with friends. Just in case you felt like, oh, it's very insular. No, we want to bring people in. We want to get new faces in here. We want to build the community. So I'm going to push that hard, and I want to make sure you all know it too.
It's not very genuine too when you just curate everything either.
No.
So we kind of curate everything.
So you got to be real. All right, Anna. Hey, Dane, Sydney, and Carson. Missed y'all. Thanks for providing content that educates and distracts for the good. Okay, I'm glad you said for the good, not from the good.
Right.
My brain had a little dyslexic moment. I saw from the good, and I was like, wait a second. Thank you, Anna. We appreciate you. All right. And Dan Pfeiffer. Oh, it wouldn't be a show without Dan. What's Dan saying, Sid?
Good afternoon, and word up from a warm Friday Eve in Minnesota, USA. Hope the TRC gang is doing well. Well, we're better now that we know it's warm in Minnesota.
Yeah, no, every little bit counts for sure.
Yes.
And Dan, we're having a good time because you're having a good time. And if you're in the audience having a good time, well, then we're doing our job. That's the point of the show, and to help educate along the way.
Yep.
Hans, yes, that is correct. I'm a leather repair tech.
Nice.
Yes, Hans can definitely help you, David. And he's agreeing, yes, that's the way to do it. Very good point. I'm glad Hans is here to help out. And Lucas from customer service here. Lucas Blaine popping in the chat to agree with DS. Yes, this is something that I, as well as others, have noticed. This is from the printing process and will go away when aired out and or washed. Talking about the scent of a fresh towel in the package, especially ones like the Slim Dry that have print on them. Just something to note. They're like, hey, this smells a little different. Well, yeah, but they're working on it. So, good afternoon, says Essential. Just wondering what things I had to look out for, engine bay details and extracting. Making sure I understand this correctly.
To look out for in engine bay details and extracting. So two separate services,
Very different services.
So engine bay details, here's my advice. Don't do them on every single car. When I first started detailing, I just did them as part of my detail. One, they're super risky. They're really high on the risk assessment. They're usually something that the customer could care less about, and you're just adding a bunch of time that you're not getting paid for. So for me, the engine bay detail is an add-on service.
That's if you're like selling a car. If you're not selling a car, you're not looking under the hood that often. Unless
or
you're
if it's like a classic car,
or something.
you know, those guys, they like to have their hoods open at car shows and stuff.
Sure.
But generally speaking, it's a really high risk service that you want to make sure that I do it as an add-on service, because then it forces me to have that conversation with the customer, why it's a risk. If I just did it by myself, and I'll give you the scenario of when I stopped doing it. I remember this was probably like 2015, and I was working on like a 2012 Chevy Tahoe. Opened up the engine like I always do, went to spray it down, and something caught my eye, and I looked back at it, and I realized that the entire fuse box did not have the cover on.
Oh, no.
The entire thing. And I went, oh my gosh.
Was this like a personal car, or like a repo? Or?
No, it was a personal car, yeah. And I was, and it actually was a lawyer's car, so this would have been a real disaster. So, and I remember going, okay, like he would have never told me about that. He didn't know I was going to be detailing the engine, because I just did it as everyday part of the detail. And I remember thinking, what would have happened if I would have pressure washed that fuse box while it was open? So the thing is sometimes there's stuff going on underneath the hood that the customer's not going to tell you about, or,
they don't know.
Yeah. I mean, anything could be weird. That I just, generally speaking, don't do it. But if the customer asks for it, then I explain how much it is and why. And then I let them know about the risks, and, you know, you can get them to sign a waiver or whatever. But I've heard enough horror stories about engine bay details. So when I do them, obviously with correct notice with the customer and agreement and all that kind of stuff, then I will use a degreaser, and then I pressure wash them. Certain engines, and this is going to be like all very specific, there's certain areas that you want to cover up and not get wet, not spray with water. But generally speaking, I put the greaser down, and then I spray them with the pressure washer, and then I immediately blow dry everything out. I don't leave the water sitting. And then I'll dress them and close the engine. I think we saw Carson do that just a minute ago. So you clean it, dress it, close it, and you don't readdress it till the end of the detail. Because generally speaking, the dressing will absorb on its own. And so the biggest thing to look out for in the engine bay is just maybe don't do it unless you have a clear understanding with the customer.
That's fair.
Yeah. And then on older ones, so say like classic cars, we talked about that. A lot of those, they're going to be already clean. So I use my steamer.
Yeah.
So I will use just Absolute in my steamer. I don't use any chemicals because I don't want to stain any of their chrome. I don't want to fade any of their plastic. So I'm pretty careful with those. So I do steam and I charge for it.
Old cars tend to have a lot more fragile plastic, potentially even glass items under the hood, ceramics, stuff like that. There's some other materials you're not going to run into in a modern engine bay so much.
Right. Yeah.
But that is all stuff you want to be considerate of. Now, I realize I'm saying all this, but we've released several videos over the last year or two that we do engine bay details. We go into, very deep detail explaining like why that's something to consider doing, but she's absolutely right. You discuss that. If you're doing it for a customer, you discuss that with them ahead of time. You make sure everybody understands what's going to happen, what the expectations are, not just for you, but for them also. Like, what are they expecting to get out of this? And, sometimes there's a good rationale for it. Other times, it's okay not to do it. And that's all right. But I do think a lot of people end up being scared away from it when it's a good skill to have. Obviously, every situation is different, so there's no guarantee it's going to work out perfectly every time. You just need to be ready for that. But the best thing you can do, like any other detail, is work with your customer first, make sure they understand what the risks are and what the potential downsides are, but don't absolutely terrify them out of it if it's something that they're interested in doing. You just make sure they understand the risks.
And then as far as extracting, this one's easy. What to look out for is use as little water as possible. I prefer to do everything pretty much dry extracting. So I do all the stain removal and everything, and then I'll use like an IK sprayer with Absolute or something. And then that's what I'm sucking up with my extractor. But I don't ever do the heavy loading up with water and extracting.
Chocolate milk.
And if you do have to do that, we're talking that's on like a disaster detail, right? Where you're like, I have no choice but to soak this thing and suck it up. The biggest thing there is, we really want to use as little water as possible on those carpets or seats because you're just setting yourself up for that wicking to happen and the stain coming back up to the surface. And then, the customer is going to be upset with you and stuff. So, just be careful when doing extracting. Like I said, I prefer more of a dry extract method, which there's lots of videos out there, on the Rag Company YouTube channel. Just check out our carpet cleaning videos because we try to put out responsible detailing on those. And so I know it looks great on TikTok to use the extractor that floods everything and then you're sucking it all up and you get to see all the brown going up in the tube. And that's cool for TikTok, but not in real life. Not in real life.
There's always going to be those people who on those are often getting like repo cars or something where there's not really an owner directly attached to it. It's something where like the bank owns or a dealership is just like or an auction house is trying to crank through. Frankly, those cars get respected a lot less than an average owner's car will. And so you're more likely to see those scenarios play out that way. But the carpet trifecta does way more work than I think people give it credit for. It is excellent, and you don't even need an extractor to use it.
And if you do have to use your extractor like that in the TikTok way, we'll call it, make sure you have the appropriate dryers to finish up with because, I've heard stories of customer seats being wet for a week. And you just do not want that. We're talking mold. No.
And so I think that tends to happen when the saturation, because it's not like it's getting stuck in the carpet fibers themselves. It's getting to the pad underneath.
In the pad and the
it's
board.
Getting in the stuff that'll actually absorb it because most of the fibers of the actual carpet and stuff are just, basic. Plastic, a petroleum product at the end of the not like microfiber though. It's a different animal. It's a different composition, but it's just going to go right through that and into whatever's underneath where it's going to stay and all kinds of nasty things will fester and grow down there. So maybe don't do that. Anyway, fun things to think about.
Yes.
Next up, I've got Sheepstar. That's right. Sheepstar checking in. Hello, Dane, and she who shall remain
Yes,
Oh, my
absolutely.
goodness.
Let's go.
What? What is even happening here? I
From
feel like
last
there's a
week.
story. Wow, I
There
missed
was
that.
it was last week. Somebody said
Jeez.
something about like, how do you do this? And I was like, girls don't do that.
Oh, right. The classic, like, no, you're imagining that. That doesn't happen. No, girls don't do that.
funny.
Travis, what's Travis saying here?
My parents recently bought a 2023 Cadillac XT4. First thing I noticed when I've seen it was that all of the water spots on the windows. Any suggestions or help on where to get started on removal? Yes.
Sydney and glass cleaning. Match
Clarity
made in
cream
heaven.
from PNS. Absolutely. So every single detail, I go over all the glass with Clarity cream. It will remove all of the fine water spots, the heavy water spots. It just makes the glass pop, makes it super easy to clean, and it's just so easy to use. So you just need a polisher. You can do it by hand too, but the polisher is obviously way faster. Something like a blue or a maroon pad, and then Clarity cream. And again, lots of videos on this. It's going to clean those water spots up so easy, so much safer than using like a mineral spot remover or an acid. And it's going to polish the window at the same time. So, yep, Clarity cream all the way.
No, that's a good point. All right, so next up, I've got Mr. Betonator. That's a fun name.
Oh, goodness.
What's the most time you let your personal cars go without washes? He's looking more for an average, though. So he's asking
Average.
the most,
Okay.
but he's also looking for average. So being realistic about it, not like a outlier, crazy
so
long
my
time.
average is probably 3 weeks, I'm going to say.
Okay.
I mean, if we're averaging it over the year. I will say that I just washed my car last Saturday, and I had not washed it since TRCMA.
Okay.
Now, the reason being was we're in springtime here,
Yeah.
and I just wasn't feeling it. And also, my car has been having some mechanical issues, which is totally foreign to me.
Oh, no.
And so for me, in my girl math
This on the
mind,
Grand
it meant
Cherokee?
it was it was trash. Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my Jeep. And so for me, it was just like, it's broken. It's no good. Like this whole thing.
Oh, no.
So I just didn't feel like cleaning it up. And then I finally got the air conditioner fixed on Saturday. So then as soon as I got home from the shop, I thought, everything is fixed. Let's reset. Let's like it
Yeah.
again. She's staying. So got washed on
Had us
Saturday.
worried there for a second. You love that thing,
I
though.
do love it.
Yeah.
I do love it. But I was not loving paying for the repair bills.
That's fair.
Yeah. Three of them last month.
AC unit, any kind of repair
Yeah.
to do with that isn't just a recharge is always an expensive
You know what it was though? This was
experience.
actually pretty crazy. So they were telling me that I needed a whole new AC. So it was going to be like $1,900
A
to
full
$3,000.
compressor
Yeah.
replacement,
And I
all
was
that?
like $3,000, and they were going to have to take apart the whole dashboard in my car, which that's the part that was killing me.
Man.
And so I took it to this other shop on Saturday, and it was the Schrader valve. So the Schrader valve was broken where they recharge it.
Okay.
And so
Everything they
20
put
ounces,
into it just like
yeah, so
leaked
20
out.
ounces was gone. And so they put a new Schrader valve, refilled it, $500. I was back on the road, and no new AC, and my dashboard's
It's,
not
it's
coming
still
apart.
$500, which sucks
Yeah.
in its own right, but that's
I
a
would
lot
take
better
it
than
all
$2,000.
Yes, and the dashboard coming apart. That
Yeah.
terrified me.
Speaking from
So, yeah.
experience, a lot of times those like AC things where
Yeah.
they find it easier to be like, oh, just replace
yeah.
the whole system.
Yeah.
It's almost always some like
Yeah.
very, very not expensive
right.
part hidden in
Yeah.
the mix.
Yeah.
Like I remember on my Volvo, that wagon I had,
Yeah.
the little T5.
Yeah.
I love that car. The engine, it was so cool. But
Yeah.
the clutch for the AC compressor, like the way it spun and stuff, would get caught
Yeah.
up sometimes.
Yeah.
You'd see everything else going, and it would like spin, and then you'd hear click, and it would stop.
Yeah.
When it was supposed to be running, and it would like try and turn, but
Right.
it wouldn't. And realize that part, there was like some little fitting on it that just needed to be rethreaded or something. And that's
Yeah.
all it was. It's like a
Yeah.
$10 part, and
Yeah.
suddenly everything works again.
Right.
But they just wanted to replace the whole thing
Yeah.
anyway. It's like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and that's what was so annoying. They wanted to replace the whole thing. And what made it $500 was $280 of it was the Freon, because mine takes that
Yeah.
special 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 RF something.
course,
and so it
yeah.
was $12 an ounce. $12 an ounce, and I needed 20 ounces.
That's some expensive
Crazy.
air. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Crazy.
so to answer your question, Mr. Betonator, everybody looks at me and
Yeah.
they're like, haha, I bet Dane doesn't wash his cars for like months on end. I bet it's like a year.
Yeah.
Not true. Here's the problem, though. I don't wash it myself. I take them
Right.
through tunnel washes,
Yeah.
but I go to touchless ones. I
Yeah.
don't go to the ones with the brushes because I'm not looking to introduce, any
Yeah.
undue swirls that I don't have to.
Yeah.
the swirls are usually the result of me panicking, removing like bird poop or something.
Yeah.
But no,
I do like this
the
new
majority
program
of
that
it.
we have, though, because I have benefited from this a
we
few times.
we just run it through there, and it's great. Carson helps out. It's excellent.
It's awesome. Like,
I will say though, like my average is around once a month. I would say, like, I sometimes do it as frequently as like every week or two if the car is like I want it to look nice for some reason, like for special event or something I know I'm going up to, I wind up doing it more. But realistically, I go about once a month.
Yeah, during the summer it definitely stays cleaner, you know, or like I keep it cleaner. It doesn't stay
between
cleaner.
Two cars.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And I know Carson, he's looking for every opportunity to clean cars in here all the time. He loves keeping that Forester clean. His STI always looks great.
Yeah.
He stays on top of it. You can tell he's like a real detailing fan.
Yeah.
So that gives you a better idea, Mr. Badernator. I hope it does. All right.
It's my favorite part of the show where the car disappears into the room.
Oh, yeah. No, the white car in that room, we've talked about that many times.
Yeah.
We're looking at potential options.
Yeah.
For maybe wrapping those walls a different color, painting them something, but the material needed for the wash bay called for them to be that color just because of what was available.
Yep.
All right, what's AT4 here saying?
All right, shout out to the PNS carpet cleaning trio. I used it last week for the first time. The carpet bomber levitated hidden nasty right to the top for removal. Absolutely. That is the beauty in it. So the enzyme, you know, starts the stain breakdown, and then you use the bomber as the soap to clean it. And honestly, like kind of back to that extractor thing, like this is generally speaking all I ever have to do is the carpet trio. And then of course we've got the finisher to neutralize everything and keep it clean. And, you know, I would venture to say 80% of the time you can get away with just doing the carpet trio with like a steamer or even just a rag. I mean, a lot of times I use the system and I just dry it with a microfiber towel, and it's usually good to go.
Oh, that's excellent. Let me find my place again. Everything moved. No, that's a good one, AT4. Then I've got David Naheem here saying, hey, everyone, when can we expect the M22 to hit the market? Unfortunately, last I spoke with anyone, it's still out there. It's not going to arrive too soon. And I'm sure somebody will come running in, no, Dane, it's this. But off the top of my head, just speaking from what I last heard, it's kind of sitting out there in the ether. It's not going to arrive like tomorrow or anything like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Gabe, I got a question for you walking into the room. When's the M22 showing up? Is it going to be a while? I think it's going to be a while. Next week?
Next week?
Oh, wow.
Goodness.
Okay. Well, hey.
Lucas actually commented.
Undersell, over deliver. So that's a good thing to hear. Excellent.
What is that you just sprayed?
Yeah, that's a different smell.
That's active foam.
Okay, yeah, that's
Really?
active
Gosh,
foam.
that
yes.
smells so good.
Active foam always does smell good.
Gosh, that smells
Active
really
I
good.
forgot
Foam
what it
smells like
like,
a
though.
nightclub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's
could see
totally
that.
different.
It's like
It's very vibey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nightclub describes it well, though, yeah.
It does. It
Okay,
smells really
so,
good.
David, to answer your question, I guess thanks to Gabe, I'm taking his word for it that possibly next week.
Maybe next week. Okay.
All right. I'm sure Lucas followed up in a little bit here, but I haven't gotten to that copy yet, so we're just going with what we can see. Tamara Chase, Carson, I want that M22.
listen. I take bribes. Okay.
Oh, no.
No. Your just integrity is for sale like that? That's disgusting. What are you doing here?
No.
Oh, man. I do love that RAV4's license plate just says RAV4.
I know. I was
really
wondering how they
creative
got
stuff.
that. Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering how they got that. Like, nobody else thought of that.
No, apparently not.
So funny.
Anyway, moving on. Oh, I'm sorry,
do we have
Joey.
Brittany
I
with
almost
us?
skipped your comment. Let me go back here, Joey. All right, Sydney, what's Joey saying?
Happy Thursday, my friends. I've been loving my slim dryers. They are perfect for rinseless washing.
No, slim
I
dryers
can't wait to
are
try 'em.
super ideal. Love those things. Josh McKay, what's he saying?
Hi, all. I think this has been mentioned before, but are there any plans to add a wish list feature to the website? I will say I love websites with wish lists. I really do.
I think when we had a different hosting service for when I was building the website way back when, we had a wish list feature.
I
But
do
that was
love
something that was kind of built into the hosting service we had. Now we have a much more, like broad, expansive kind of service that hosts for the website. And there's a lot more stuff going on. But a lot of it is like very technical, and that's why we have a web team now of people who are creating this stuff. I love that idea, though. I do think it's something we should provide for people, so that they can quickly convert a wish list into a cart if they want to.
Yep.
I love like the way Amazon does that. Other places, they really do a good job of making it easy to remind yourself. Oh yeah, I did like that.
Yeah,
because you'll remind yourself occasionally. So pass it along to the web team. They should know. All right, thank you, Josh. Then I've got Sheepstar. Super stoked for Friday's Detail Grind podcast. Who knows what controversial, crazy information might get discussed in this upcoming episode.
Yes.
I like how these guys always end up doing like plugs for the Detail Grind podcast on this, because they know it just comes tomorrow. It's always tomorrow after Q&A. But, you know, I got to support them. I love those guys. I do
love that it's always a surprise who's on, too. I think that was a good call.
Little mystery until it happens.
Yeah.
So that's fun. All I saw for this week's episode is that it just says we have to talk. Super ominous. Real clickbaity stuff, guys. All right, Anna.
Man.
What's she saying? What
does the M22 and Slim Dryers compare to? I think this is a hard one. I'm going to say on the M22, like a miniature 1500.
So if you take the physical area of the 1500, you shrink those dimensions, but you make the towel itself more dense.
Right.
So that's basically what's happening with the M22.
Yeah.
You take kind of the idea of the 1500, which is already a ridiculously beefy towel, but then you're essentially just going way overboard on the GSM, making it incredibly dense.
Yeah.
But physically, it's a smaller, it's smaller in width and height when you lay it down flat.
Yeah, and then the Slim Dryer, that one's tough. I don't think it really compares to anything. I would say that it reminds me, so nothing that TRC has had before, but it reminds me of, like, if you think about those old, like way back in the day, those like chamois almost, right? But it's not a chamois, but like weight and feel, but microfiber.
Yeah, and I would say like the closest thing we've carried before that's in this ballpark, but I would say it's like a big improvement on, was, for those who remember the Twist and Shout, that was that purple towel, had the border, it was a twist loop, and it was like, we would call it like a single ply as opposed to like doubling up. That was kind of as close as I can talk about something people might be familiar with. However, I will say, the Slim Dryers are like night and day in terms of performance.
Yeah, totally.
The Twist and Shout was great in its own right. And anybody who remembers that we took one of those and we dried off an entire Ford Raptor using just one of those towels. But the Slim Dryer, I feel like, does an even better job and is quicker at it.
Yeah, super absorbent, but super light and thin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about bang for buck with those things and making something that's just more efficient. That's kind of the goal with those. Travis, Carson, that's just me. I can't wait to get the M22 towels in my arsenal. Yes, you will have the opportunity coming up soon, I'm happy to say.
Sooner than later, so that's good.
It smells good after you rinse that off, too.
Yeah, gosh, I'm going to have to get some of that. It smells
Next up, I've got Metal Lunar. How does material blend affect performance of a towel? I recently saw inexpensive towels that had a polyester and nylon blend. Is that safe? How are your towels constructed? That's a good question, Lunar, and that is something that I have geeked out on over the years. And speaking just in really broad terms, not getting too crazy deep into it, when you see nylon, it's okay because nylon is the polyamide side of it, but it's not as simple as just being nylon, although some people will call it that if they don't know any differently. Basically, if you have polyester, polyamide mix, the polyamide is the absorbent portion. It's the more expensive portion of the towel's composition, and that's virtually always going to be the smaller part of the ratio when it comes to what the split is on the towel. Usually you'll see stuff out there, if you go to like a hardware store, you'll find microfiber towels that are like 100% polyester. Those are great at pushing stuff around, but they're not really going to absorb much of anything, because when it's just polyester, it's like the carpet I was talking about earlier. Stuff's just going to go right on by. But as soon as
Yep.
you introduce the polyamide, it gives it some ability to actually like create a little more density. It can absorb some, and as that number goes up, you see more and more of that performance. However, I feel like it's diminishing returns. There have been in the past like some 60-40 towels, but 70-30 is really like the sweet spot
Yeah.
in terms of like what it costs versus what the performance is. That really seems to be the sweet spot, and that's why we continue to stick with 70-30, because until something better comes along, that really is just like the spot
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, otherwise it just ends up being more expensive to produce for no like diminishing returns. It's not
Yeah.
the benefit isn't there as much.
Right. Yeah.
So you could do it, but it's not necessarily worth it, frankly.
Yep. Yeah. And for a deeper dive on this, there is a great recent video. What's the title of that video?
That one, boy, what did we
That you
call that
just
one?
did.
I mean, it was
Just
from
recently.
like
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. We
Early
released
April.
it from. Yeah, it's basically everything you wanted to know about
Yeah.
microfiber in a condensed form. It's
Yeah.
like
Great video,
about 12
though.
minutes long.
Yeah.
It's me blabbing at you, yapping at you, but
Really
it's
good information.
really tightly edited because I edited it myself, and I can only stand to hear myself talk for so long. Sorry about the Q&As. I talk a lot on these, but the video is very good at just kind of knocking out some
Yeah.
of those basic questions, giving you a little taste of that, and then explaining some of the history of TRC, which I think as we get more and more people coming and tuning into
Yeah.
the channel, they aren't aware of like the actual past we have and like my place in it, because I'm not in many of the main
Yeah.
videos on our main channel here, but I do have a very intimate knowledge of the rag company as you've come to know it, and I was there pretty much back in the earliest days. So
Yeah.
I know a thing or two about a thing or two. Anyway, that's me tooting my horn, and that's about as close as I'll get to that.
Go
But
check
I hope
out the
that
video,
helps,
though.
Metal Learner.
Yeah.
Yes, so our towels are constructed in a similar fashion, polyester, polyamide blend, varying degrees, but as a general rule, when it comes to microfiber, unless it's being used for a very specific different kind of purpose, where a higher polyester amount and a smaller polyamide makes sense, say you don't need to absorb something, vast majority of our towels are going to be in the 80-20 to 70-30 range. That is where it's at. All right. Moving along, we've got Jimbo Slice. I put my first real ceramic coating on a car. What's the best way to maintain it?
I mean, obviously doing washes yourself is the best way to maintain it. But that said, a lot of the coatings out on the market now can handle the tunnel washes just fine. Sometimes that's a necessary evil. So obviously if you can wash it yourself, I prefer a pH neutral soap. I mean, if you don't live in an area with a lot of contamination, you know, your best bet is just going to be a simple, you know, pH neutral soap, or, you know, and again, most of the soaps on the market are just fine. But when it comes to like the decon soaps and stuff, I personally don't think those are necessary every week. So I would maybe add those in maybe once a month, you know, doing the decon step. But if the car's not super dirty, you know, because there you're just doing extra steps, I think. And so then it's just becomes down to time. Unless you truly enjoy doing it, you're not hurting anything by using them. So pH neutral soap, wash it by hand, is going to be the way to go. And then once a year, I recommend doing like the wash clay seal process. Because that's like going to the dentist. It's going to take off the contamination that regular weekly washing is not going to take
buildup,
off.
the plaque.
Yeah, exactly. So doing a wash clay seal is going to kind of top up that ceramic. It's going to remove any of the surface contamination and, you know, just keep it looking its best and performing its best. And if the coating does not get clogged and stay clogged, it's going to last longer because it takes less friction and contact to get it clean, which that is what actually wears down a coating is friction, basically, you know, washing it. So, but
Yeah.
really it should make it easier to maintain. You don't really need to do anything overly special, and you don't need to baby it either.
I think a lot of people, because of if you're not somebody who does this stuff yourself or feel comfortable or you know, you're doing it for other customers, if you're paying someone else to coat your
Yeah.
car, it tends to be pretty pricey. There's an expense
Look
to
at
it that
Yep.
you definitely notice. Your wallet notices.
Yep.
You want to make sure you're getting your money's worth.
Yep.
So I totally understand the concern when you do that. Although in his case, he's saying, I put my first,
did
so
it, yeah.
you installed it.
Yep.
So you know what to expect from the particular coating you have. It should have some basic instructions because I do understand different chemistries of different coatings. Some can behave in different ways. Sometimes they call for toppers, things like that. But as a general rule, she's right. Like if it gets clogged, you fix it. But I think for people who aren't super on the up and up with coatings and they just understand, oh, it's something to protect my car like the waxes of old, but it's a newer technology, people may not understand the concept of like a coating getting clogged and they might think, oh my God, it's failing. But it's not. It just needs to be refreshed.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah. And like, what's your stance like when people look at like toppers and stuff like that and they think, oh, that's cheating. That's not really the coating lasting that long. To me, the coating can indeed last that long underneath with the proper products to make sense. Like the chemistry is there for a reason.
Yeah.
And if you have a topper as part of your regimen, some people don't like the idea of that and they think it's like somehow a like performance enhancing drug for coatings or something.
Yep, totally.
But
totally.
It's a matter of taste, I think.
Fun fact is, so the hydrophobic properties of coatings, most of them, those hydrophobic properties do not go all the way through. They might only be in like the top 20 to 40%. So we need to keep that in mind too. Yesterday I had a Tacoma that had inspiration on it. It's been 3 years. Certain parts of the truck were super hydrophobic. Other parts were completely flat. Now, the thing about that is, and I was explaining this to the customer, it does not mean the coating is gone.
Right.
It just means it's not performing that great anymore. And so like I told him, I did the wash clay seal, I put on a topper, you're good for another year, but in the next year, we're going to want to look at replacing that coating because we've got varying degrees of performance here. And so, but by no means is the coating gone or not doing what it's supposed to do protecting. It just doesn't have the fun parts left of the coating.
Okay.
So that is important to know too, that the hydrophobics do not go all the way to the base of the coating.
Out of curiosity, was there a particular like pattern to where it was performing versus where you felt like it was starting to fall a little short?
Yeah.
Was it kind of like high traffic areas or spots that
I
got
did.
a lot
So
more
it
of
was
the
a
road
Tacoma.
rash?
It had big wheels on it, big tires.
Beyond
and so,
the fenders then? So it's throwing stuff
so I
up
could
on
see
the
where
body.
it was, everywhere where it was throwing that salt brine back at the doors.
That's
So
what
it
I
was
was
literally this pattern on the bottom of the doors, even after they were decontaminated, that obviously that part has taken a lot more abrasion and a lot more chemicals. And the coating was still there. It just could no longer perform the exciting parts of having a coating.
Okay, yeah.
And so I think toppers are totally fine. I use them, and mainly just for that, because that's why we like our coatings, is for the gloss depth and for the hydrophobics. But, I would rather use a topper than recoat my car every 2 years.
Sure.
Because generally speaking, on a 5-year coating, it's not really that much fun after 2 years. It's just not. And so I prefer to use a topper. I think they're totally fine. I think do whatever makes you happy. If you're taking care of your own car, number one, that's awesome. And so if you want to use a drying aid that has, ceramic in it every week and you want to top it off and have it look like it was just coated every week, like do it. Do it. Yeah. There's no harm in that.
I'm laughing at Sheepstar's recommendation for Jimbo here. His solution is sandpaper. That's how you take care of it.
Yeah.
No, don't do that unless you know your way around sanding paint, or clear rather. Jeff C. here.
Very cool.
What is the shelf life of Stout once opened? I'm happy to report that my tree branch incident caused only slight marring.
Good.
But I may still polish and recoat my rear hatch and bumper. That's probably a good idea, Jeff.
Yeah, so Stout is a little bit on the shorter shelf life. So I generally tell people to try to not keep it open for more than about 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
If you do, though, if you need to save what you have, I recommend putting it in the back of a very dark cabinet that does not get opened. Make sure that the lid is all the way tightened on. You can also put it in a refrigerator if you'd like.
I was about to ask, does temperature play a role
yeah,
there? Cooling it down
and it's
a
not
little
really
bit?
even temperature. It's like varying temperature.
Or the humidity?
Yeah,
rather?
so it could be like if you have a garage and it gets warm during the day and cold at night, if it varies a lot, that's what we want to avoid, is the varying degrees. But honestly, UV is what kind of activates that. So once the oxygen has entered the bottle and the UV, and it can just start to get a little bit difficult to work with. Doesn't mean it's not going to work, but definitely stout does not have a long shelf life. So like Inspiration Classic, you can open a bottle and a year later use it again, no problem. Stout, I really don't recommend it for more than a couple weeks. The other reason is because stout comes in a clear bottle. So that UV is going to affect it more. So if you're planning on keeping it, go ahead and put it in the back of a very dark cabinet where it's not going to see the light of day.
Because stout is more on like almost the legend side of things, right? With how many solids are in
it's a very high solid.
How dense it is with that. So
it
that
is a very high
probably
solid.
factors into why it can't last as long as just
Yeah,
limitations
and that
of
fast
the
cure
chemistry.
time. So once oxygen hits it, it starts to activate. And so,
No, that makes sense. Hopefully that helps, Jeff. And Eric right here. Hey, from Nova Scotia, everybody.
Nice.
Oh, little Canadian flag there. And thanks, bud. Nice to see you. And welcome from Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
All right, I got RJ here. Can O&R be used in the IK foam sprayer, or do I have to use the Hyperfoam or whatever product it is that Optimum makes? Now, what I'll say about that is when you're using O&R in an IK sprayer, it had better be a multi. Otherwise, if you try and put it into a foaming sprayer, it just sputters. It's going to have a bad time. It does not like it. It actively rejects and resists the act of being foamed, which is why after years and years of people joking about trying to foam O&R, Dr. G just said, you know what, F it. And he made himself a foaming O&R you can use. So if that's something that interests you, he did create something like that. We do carry it. You can give it a try. It is fun. But if you like classic O&R, you're going to have to use the multi in order to properly do that. And I mean, if you have, say, like a multi and a foam sprayer and you've got multiple bottles, you just want to switch the heads around, you can switch the full screw-on head, but you can't modify like a foamer to become a multi or vice versa. That's different. That doesn't work. But if you're just going to switch the whole head on the bottle, yes, they should be interchangeable on that front. If you're talking about the, like the foam 2 or the multi 2, something like that. Pros, I'm speaking of specifically. Anyway, it gets very convoluted once you get into all those names. Then we just got people yelling names. Eric, Hydra Detailing. Hi, all. Hi, Hydra.
Hi.
Hey. And then I got more people just saying names. Alex Dewar. Shout out to 1-to-1 Undressed for rubber mats and Release for carpet. Dare I say I don't hate interiors now?
Yeah. I love Release so much.
Big words, Alex. Big words.
I love
you
Release.
might hate cleaning the interior on this RAV4, though. I saw it earlier. Everybody got a little scared.
Yep.
Everybody was a little frightened. Hydra Detailing. What's Hydra saying?
What are the dilutions of bug off, like 20 to 25 degrees Celsius? So I don't know my Celsius, but I will say bug off dilution is 1-to-1. I don't usually dilute it more than that because you do need the chemical to work, but I also don't use it full strength. So the only time that temperature is going to come into effect is if it's really hot outside. You're going to want to work faster. You just don't want bug off to dry on the surface is all that you really need to know about that. But otherwise, temperature shouldn't be too big of a big deal. Just don't let it dry on the surface.
If memory serves, 20 to 25 degrees Celsius is pretty warm.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know my conversion.
Because I know when you're
Celsius
getting
there.
up to 30, what is it? You're like in the 90s or something like that. So like 20, 25, you're probably in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah,
I
just
think.
spray it on and then work with it right away and either rinse it off or go straight into your wash. You just never want to let it dry on the surface.
Okay. Either way, good advice. And same thing applies to like if you're using an all-purpose cleaner, stuff like that.
Anything.
Just generally speaking, you don't want to let stuff fry on your paint.
Right.
The only product where that's kind of acceptable is Optimum No Rinse.
Yeah.
Because you can just re-wet it and it'll work magically again, even in direct sunlight.
Yep.
That was one of the reasons I was very quickly a convert back in the day when I was washing my own cars.
Yep.
I loved that I could, suffer from the heat, let it go on there, and I'd still be okay and I didn't screw up. Because soap film sucks. David Naheem here saying, I have a question about Optimum's new consumer coating that's supposed to fill in swirls and minor scratches. How's the filling effect? Is it really, and is it silicone based? Now, David, this is unfortunately one of those ones where Anthony was much better versed on this particular product than I was. So I need to look into it a little further before I can speak to that. Carson, do you have any input?
I
Don't remember. I'm going to be honest. I do know it was pretty cool that, like you said, you could fill in certain things, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything that's not true on that front. What I do know is that it's one of those cases where you obviously you're not going to fill in gouges and stuff like that. It really is going to be for more marring, lighter swirls, that kind of stuff. But I absolutely get the appeal because it's basically saying that there's a coating where maybe, just maybe, you don't have to polish the whole car before you apply the coating, and that's kind of appealing to a lot of people out there. Now, I know that's a whole debate in and of itself, whether or not you need to polish a car before you coat. I'm one of those people who says it depends, which I know is not the most satisfying answer and kind of a cop-out, but it's true. I think it depends.
I'm a always polish, but where I see this comes in is obviously for those doing it themselves, because they may not get as perfect of a paint correction as say, a professional can. But the other thing is, even professionals, we may have customers that don't want to pay for a multi-stage correction.
Honestly,
or
that's
we may have
usually
a 2017 black Suburban. If anybody knows about black
GM
paint, I mean, if there was something that could fill that in and make me just be able to, buzz over it and not freak out that not every swirl and scratch came out, then that would be amazing. So I think there's definitely a place for it. I have not gotten to see this or play with it, so I don't have an answer either, but it's something that I want to know about too, because there's definitely the occasion where I have always said I wish ceramic would fill like a wax did.
No, and I think that is kind of a holy grail for that particular kind of environment. So we definitely understand why people would be excited about that. At the same time, a lot of people get sensitive to hype. They get sensitive to all those kinds of things. And you don't want to put anything out there in the ether that isn't necessarily true about it. So I don't want to speak out of turn on that front. But that is something good that I'll definitely look more into and talk to Dr. G about, or at least talk with Anthony about, and get down to the bottom of what it can really do. So hopefully that helps, David. I know it's probably not the answer you're looking for, but it's an answer nonetheless. All right. And on that note, we are going to a brief little break here. We won't be gone for too long, though. This is just going to be a few quick words from our friends over at these awesome companies. So we'll see you in about 5-10 minutes or less.
Awesome.
Hey guys, Josh with the Rad Company.
I thought I was going first.
I thought I was going first.
We'll take it.
All right, Josh is from the Rad Company here to tell you about the business program.
You can save up to 25% off different products that we have here at the Rad Company, including savings like Detail Factory, IK sprayers, and many others.
Whether it's pads, polishes, compounds, polishers, we got it all. Chemicals.
We have everything you would need to save you some money so you can start putting more money in your pocket by buying products through our business program.
So whether you're a shop-based business, a mobile detailer, or just running a side hustle out of your garage, please check out the business program.
And you get free shipping on orders over $150.
That's a pretty great deal.
That is a great deal.
The Rad Company business program is for bulk purchase end users only. No tax exemptions unless previously grandfathered in. Discounts apply to eligible products only. Exclusions may apply. Check product listings for details. Minimum order of $150 required to qualify for these discounts. Some brands, tools, or specialty items may not be included. Pricing is subject to change without notice. Visit theradcompany.com/biz to start your application. Act now, stock up, and save big while it lasts.
Hello, and welcome back to the second half of Q&A Thursday. I'm your host, Dane Hennon. To my left, Sydney Bray Gwynn, and behind us there, working in the darkness, we've got Carson. It's not really darkness. It's actually decently lit over there. It just looks like it on our camera from here.
Sure does.
But anyway, Carson, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing to that RAV4 back there? You've already given it a full wash, but what's going on now?
So we are going to be doing the infamous wash clay seal. So I am going to be using some ADS iron remover with the new Ryobi sprayer. Unfortunately, we don't sell it here at the Rad Company, but something that I wanted to use. So we're going to use that and then use some bead maker, of course, with claying, and then top it with Defender and my signature full send. Come on. And
that's full send Carson right there. Love it. Well, thank you for the update, Carson. And we will get right back to these comments and questions. I hope you guys have been enjoying it so far. And if you have, please give us the old thumbs up. We really appreciate that. Helps us in the old algorithm. And your comments, your chat here absolutely does too. And we will keep going with these comments. So, David was the last one we answered before the break, but now we're on to Lucas, who's letting people know that M22s, that's the super, super dense drying towel, should hopefully be here next week or the week after. Okay, so sometime in the next couple of weeks, you hopefully can expect to see the M22s landing here right at TRC. Now, if you've been waiting patiently, I hope that is indeed the case. If Lucas says it, I'm inclined to believe it. So he's got the latest info. I'm going with what he says on here. Thank you, Lucas. And, of course, if you are just looking for something you can pick up today, absolutely get your mitts on the Slim Dryer. It's an awesome drying towel, and Sydney already got hers, crazy enough, shipped to her house. Even though she lives here, it's not that far away. You still had them shipped, so good on you. All right.
Well,
so,
I didn't do it.
You didn't do it.
Somehow they accidentally got
I don't
shipped,
know what the decision, the logic was there, but it happened. So anyway, getting back to your comments and questions. Hydra Detailing. Does the 2200, that's the M22, new GSM towel absorb better than the Liquidator or just keeps more water? Well, in a sense, that would be absorbing more, would it not? It is definitely a higher GSM than all the others out there. And pound for pound, I would say it's right there in the same ballpark. It can just hold more because of its density. However, it is a smaller area. So unlike the 1500, which is a little bit larger in terms of width and height, the M22 is going to be slightly smaller while being a higher GSM. So if anything, I like the fact that it's not going to be dragging when you get down low and like rocker panels and stuff. It's going to do a good job of that. So you can expect to see that in the not too distant future. Then we've got Rogue Wear here. I was not a believer in the Gauntlet. However, I made a significant purchase with you guys. I was sold on the idea by Obsessed Garage. I'm so glad I took his advice. The towels rock. See, once again, I love when we can win over skeptics. All you got to do is actually try this stuff. Like, it is one of those cases where people, I understand it. You get sick of hearing hype on the internet. You're tired of people saying everything is the greatest thing since sliced bread, all this different stuff. Everything is the GOAT. Until you can actually try something for yourself, you're not going to believe it. Your personal experience is the only thing you feel you can really trust in a lot of cases. I get that. And I understand by that point you've already bought the product, so you feel like, oh, they got me. But no, like, you tried it, you took his advice, and you're not mad about it. You enjoyed it, and that's what it should be. So we carry this stuff because we like using it ourselves, and we hope you feel the same way. Thank you, Rogue, for saying as much. Now, Hydra Detailing here. Does the new twist loop Army design, that's the M22, or he's talking about the Slim Dryer possibly in the digital camo, absorb better than the bigger GSM towels like Liquidator and the 2200? Okay, so he is talking about the Slim Dryer.
Yeah.
So you're wondering if the new twist loop actually absorbs more, say like in the actual fiber, more so than the Liquidator 2200. I would say it's possibly going to absorb more than the Liquidator, although some might argue otherwise. I would say it really comes down to the fact that because it is a thinner towel, it's going to be a little friendlier to fold, to wring out, do all that kind of stuff with. I definitely know I got that kind of use out of it when I was using it last week. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be comparable. It's just a new form factor. That's something that people who like having not as heavy a towel will enjoy. And then the 2200, that's the M22, goes the other direction and makes it ultra beefy, but still trying to make it more compact. So the efficiency is there. But people who love the Liquidator are going to love the Liquidator. I would just say the biggest difference you'll notice is the length of the actual twist pile. So the twist loop pile is going to be different lengths. It's probably going to be longer on the Liquidator than the 2200, whereas on the Slim Dryer, it's going to be a little tighter, a little bit finer.
I'm laughing because Carson back there has put like 32 ounces.
He's just going.
Iron remover.
Oh, we're smelling it too, yeah. Oh, well. Keep it up, Ben.
There is not a spot of iron that is going to remain on that vehicle.
No iron left.
I much rather, quote unquote, waste iron remover than sit there in clay. That's just me.
That's fair. Watch, the car's just going to disintegrate now.
That's fine.
All the iron that's actually in the metals of the actual body are just going to disappear. All right, Jimbo Slice. I used the Liquidator this weekend. Thing is a beast.
It is,
yes,
yeah.
the Liquidator, not to be slept on. Oldie but a goodie at this point. It's funny calling it old because I remember when it was new.
Right.
It hasn't changed performance-wise from what you remember. It's still great. So, moving along here, I want to make sure I'm not losing my spot. Hydra detailing. What's Hydra saying?
Can the USS Sponge be washed with rags to riches on 30 degrees or 40, or better not to wash it ever at all? Like when I used it with ONR yellow or soap with SiO2. So you could I would never wash it in the washing machine, but you could certainly put some rags to riches in a bucket but like wash it at that time. Like I wouldn't soak it necessarily for a whole long time. The USS is fairly fine sponge, so I usually I do wash mine with rags to riches, but I put it in a hot bucket of water, I squeeze it out, I kind of clean it, and then I rinse it.
I'm definitely not putting it in a dryer or anything like that.
But I wouldn't put it in the
do that.
washer, because regardless of the quick spin or the agitator is probably going to affect the shape and or those cuts. But honestly, I've never had trouble just rinsing it out by hand. And, you can certainly, like I said, put it in a little bucket with rags to riches, but I wouldn't leave it sitting in there over time.
Yeah, like the early days with the big red sponge, stuff like that.
Yeah, you could soak
that
those.
Required the whole seasoning kind of thing. It was it was almost like using stoneware, if you're familiar with stuff in the kitchen, where you had to be very particular about how you cared for it. Later sponges, as time's gone on, found newer ways to not have to worry about all those little idiosyncrasies. Now it's pretty straightforward. You can be kind of a caveman and still have a good long use out of it, not worry about it just falling apart on you.
Yeah.
But, common sense still plays a role. So, obviously, don't throw it in the dryer or anything like that. It can dry itself out just fine. It's porous.
Yeah.
But, throw it on a drying rack when you're done. But as far as the wash goes, she's right. Put it in a bucket. Just make sure you clean it out that way. If it's warm, great.
Yeah.
And
I find the USS needs
stuff.
a lot less maintenance than some of those, like you said, some of the older sponges, even the UBS.
Yeah.
I don't ever feel like I need to strip it as much as I used to.
I think it's because of how soft it is. It allows stuff to pass through more easily, whereas some of the older ones, the tougher ones, some people like that toughness. They like the little more force on it. But, the USS is really good at just, you can wring it out really easily.
I feel like I barely need to maintain it at all.
Yeah. All right, so then we've got Hydra detailing. Go ahead.
Which of the two new towels in Liquidator fits who better according to their characteristic? Interesting.
Okay, so which of the two towels in Liquidator fits who better? Sorry, my brain was having a dyslexic moment reading that.
So do they mean like us here at the Rag Company, or?
I mean, I guess if he's saying, so he's like M22 versus Slim Dryer versus the Liquidator. Right. I would say somebody who likes having a really, really dense towel but doesn't like to drag stuff on the ground, M22 is going to be the spot for him. It's going to hold a ton, but you're going to need to move it around more because it's physically a smaller towel despite being more dense.
Yeah.
You're going to need to move it more to cover the same amount of area versus the Liquidator, which is going to also be a very long pile, twist loop pile, but physically the dimensions are a lot larger.
Yeah.
It's a lower GSM, but it's much larger physically, and it comes in multiple sizes in that as well. You could probably cover the most ground with that. However, you're still going to be able to saturate that thing to a point where it does get decently heavy. It's gonna bulk up.
Yep.
Whereas a Slim Dryer, for somebody who doesn't want to deal with the extra weight, they want something that's very easy to wring out, but they still want to cover a lot of ground, almost more along the lines of the way people used to use like waffle weaves and stuff like that, where it's very thin towel but covers a lot of ground. You can do that sort of thing. Trade-off though is with the Slim Dryer versus a waffle weave, you're getting enough pile that if there is anything left on the surface, you're less likely to be dragging that across the surface than you would with a waffle weave. So it's still better in that regard. Same goes for people who use chamois and stuff. Chamois give you nowhere
Right,
for that dust or dirt that happens to be like just a few stragglers left on the paint. You're dragging that. Whereas with the twist loop pile, it gives you a little room, a little cushion, little buffer. However, twist loop piles are just amazing at, you plop it down, you pull back. It's like a one pass towel. It grabs everything.
Yep.
So it's awesome.
I think so. Are you spraying liberally?
Yes.
Yep.
It's got your face on the bottle.
That should make it better.
That's a classic. Heck yeah, that's a classic.
We just keep refilling this bottle.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's not the bottle that comes in anymore.
No.
All right. So next up, I've got Detail Grind Podcast saying, did you see Carson on the Detail Grind Podcast? What a guy.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Good job, Carson. You're fun. He was a real sweetheart on there, that guy. Then I've got Alex Dewar saying, could have a marmot under the hood. Then it turns into wildlife detailing.
Yep.
That's true. For all who remember Anthony's story about detailing and discovering a marmot in his engine bay. How exciting.
So funny.
Hydra here. Dane and Sid plus others. Carson, you're plus others. What are your top 3 summer products of TRC this month or upcoming handling the heat? Mine are number 1, O&R, number 2, Bug Off, number 3, Swift for the dashboard protection and no sun blinding.
It's good. I like that.
So my number 1 is Absolute. My number 2 is Bug Off. And my number 3 is going to be Reflect.
I was enjoying using Reflect.
Yes, I do love some Reflect. It's almost impossible to make it streak. And then it's just so stinking slick. I love Reflect.
Love that. All right. What about you, Carson?
I'm going to say ADS wheel cleaner for sure. Second's going to be FSE, just because when you're washing, sometimes it gets a little too hot. You get some water spots.
Yep.
And then third, I'm going to go O&R V6. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. For me, I'm gonna also go in with the O&R, which I could exchange with Absolute. But for me, it's like you want to have that kind of rinseless wash that is safe to use in direct sunlight. Because he's talking specifically about the summer heat and all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking if I'm washing a car, I'm just more comfortable using a rinseless wash in that scenario, especially one that I know has been through the ringer in terms of heat and direct sunlight and still comes out okay. And I don't know what you're doing, Carson, but that car keeps angrily beeping at you.
The Toyotas do that. Yeah.
It's so
all
weird.
Toyotas
Like,
do it.
is it just there's a key inside or what?
Since Gabe coming, they're like, don't buy me.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, it's a Toyota that's afraid of Gabe. That's funny.
Yeah, they all do that. It drives me crazy when I'm detailing them.
And if I were to say to others, I mean, they don't necessarily have to be chemical products. I love the Slim Dryer. Like, I'm immediately a convert to that. I loved using it last week, and I'm sure I'll have many more opportunities to put in the work. But I'll put that as my number 2. You put that with the O&R, I'm real happy. And for 3, I mean, you're not going to use it that much, but, man, I just love Motorplast.
Okay.
Like, it is awesome. I know not doing a lot of engine details out there, but when you do, and you got those plastic covers, Motorplast, awesome product, looks amazing when you're done. My old Jag never looked better than when I put Motorplast under the hood. It was beautiful.
Yep. I do love Motorplast.
Anyway, shout out Motorplast. All right, moving along. Let's see what David Cervantes here.
David.
What's up, guys? And Sid.
Yeah.
It's parts day, so I can finally start fixing my truck. Good for you, David. I'm glad that's finally happening.
Nice.
Oh, Meridian Marmot up next.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, no. Says, my personal grooming habits are none of your concern, buddy. To Alex. Jeez. David here saying, detailing question for once. We have a really bad smoker's car in as a rebuild to sell. How would I go about removing as much of the smell as possible? Now, I know there's a few different ways people approach this. I often see, ozone machines are part of that process. But, Sid, what do you find works best in your experience?
Yeah, these are always really difficult. And generally speaking, because there's going to be smoke in areas that you can't reach, which is going to make it really difficult.
Trapped in
But you're going to want to
fabrics.
start with obviously cleaning all the plastics and leather with, a good interior cleaner, a steamer, scrub, all you got to scrub every single inch of this car. Then you're going to move on to the carpets and headliner. So you're going to want to use, personally, I use the PNS carpet system that we talked about, because you're going to use the Terminator to start, the stain and odor breakdown. Then you're going to use the carpet bomber, and then the finisher is going to be vital here, not only for the neutralization of those chemicals, but it also is going to neutralize some of the odors. Now, the parts that you're going to struggle with is seat belts. Seat belts really hold on to the smoke, and they're hard to clean because you really probably shouldn't clean them. So usually what I do is I will take Terminator on a towel and kind of wipe the seat belts, and then I take the finisher. But this is going to be a difficult one. You don't really want to use heavy cleaners on seat belts. It's just not safe. Do the best job that you can. The thing to remember is pull the seatbelt out, because when people are smoking, they have it over them, right? So you got to pull it out of the, and kind of do that whole thing. Then headliner. This one's going to be hard too, because you don't want to get it super wet.
That adhesive will give up on you, and then you got a whole other type of problem.
Yeah. So what I do here is I take towels that I've pretty heavily sprayed the Terminator on, and I hand scrub the headliner, and then I do the same thing with the carpet bomber, and then finisher I do go ahead and just spray on, and you're just going to hope for the best here. Again, the headliner is going to be a difficult one. You want to make sure to get the vanity mirrors and the sunshades, because those are going to have smoke on the front and the back and from their hands. So key number one is you got to get the entire inside of the car, every inch cleaned. Then you need to change the cabin air filter. This is going to be before you run the ozone machine. Change the cabin air filter. Then, and also, the vents underneath, you got to make sure you've scrubbed all those out, because that's where all that smoke has been sucked into.
Floor vents.
So, we're talking, you got to scrub everything. Once it's all totally cleaned and totally dry, then you're going to need to run an ozone machine or something like Odor Doc from PNS, or the BioBombs. You're going to have to run some type of ozone situation, and then you're just going to have to cross your fingers.
Yeah, it's by no means a guarantee, but you had a great point about the seatbelts. I think so many people forget that seatbelts, despite how they may feel, those are a woven product. That is fabric woven. So that is very important. You attack the hose, but carefully, very carefully, because that is a safety concern. If you screw up on that, you can cause some real issues.
Yeah, and then the hard things that you're going to struggle with if somebody actually smoked in their car, like with the windows up, is we have to remember that smoke goes everywhere. So it's going into like the foam components of the seats. So if it's leather seats, it's all up underneath into the foam components, and you're never going to get that out.
No.
So, and I want to back up to when I said change the cabin air filter. The reason is because you don't want to be running that ozone machine with the dirty cabin air filter.
You're just going to be bringing it redistributing back. Who wants that?
Yeah. So there's just a lot of areas that you have to go through, and ozone's going to be your last ditch effort at the end.
Excellent. And remember, ozone, don't want to be breathing that stuff.
Yeah, no.
Make sure you very carefully
read the directions,
that.
follow them to a T. That is the one, like I'm like you guys, I'm a detailer.
If you're not sure,
I don't like to follow
video.
directions, but seriously, on the ozone machine or like an odor doc, to a T, you're going to follow those directions.
Yeah. All right. We're a few pages behind, so I'm going to get us cruising here.
Okay.
Ronnie Yacht saying, good afternoon. Hello, Ron.
Good afternoon.
Happy to have you here, buddy. And then I've got Bruce's Garage saying, hey
Bruce.
Sydney. Can you tell me the difference between Swift and Express?
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you the quick answer. Swift is a cleaner and protector. So Swift is going to do 50% of the job. So that's the important thing to remember, is when you're using a combo product, you're probably only getting 50% of the attributes. So you are getting part cleaner. So it's going to do a relatively good job on maintained vehicles as far as like the cleaning goes. And then it's got 50% protectant. So it's going to do 50% of, like, say, a product like natural finish. So it's a maintenance product. This is not something to use to actually clean a dirty vehicle. So it is like a hybrid. So it's going to do cleaning and protecting. Absolutely great product. Everybody knows me. I like to have my customers bring their cars back to me clean. So I use Swift a lot because I'm just doing maintenance cleaning. So then Express is a dedicated interior cleaner that is going to do, from light to heavy cleaning. It is a dilutable product, and so you can do 1-to-1 for, relatively clean cars up to full strength for super dirty, and it has no UV protection and no like silicone protectant included in it. So they are totally different. One thing I want to mention real quick on Swift, you can dilute Swift as well. I do it 1-to-1 for EVs. So all of the EVs now have this weird, vegan leather, kind of plasticky leather that doesn't like to absorb anything.
Fancy pleather.
Yeah. And so I will dilute it 1-to-1, and I call that my EV dilution. So,
nice.
But yes, they're very different products, both absolutely fantastic. And even on some cars, like say only the cup holders are dirty, I'll clean those with Express, give them a good cleaning with the Detail Factory brush, wipe them out, and then I go through the rest of the car with Swift. So that's kind of the nice thing, is you can kind of intermix them when necessary.
And as of right now, Express are the only ones that have a wipe form.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's cool.
Yep.
Let's see. Essential here. Who's the Rav4 owner? It's getting some special
it is getting
treatment.
Very special treatment.
Well, it actually belongs to Glenn behind the scenes, someone you may recognize as being the reason we have these awesome camera angles, these amazing graphics you see for all of our productions that are live stream stuff. Tiersima, obviously big showcase for all her work. So shout out Glenn. Her car's getting a little special treatment here. She thinks the license plate is funny too.
It is getting the best.
All right, moving along here, I've got Hydra saying Express is a heavier cleaner.
Yep.
Then I've got Ron pointing out that it's raining all day where he is. This is the bright spot. I hope so, Ron. We're trying to brighten everyone's day here. Thank you. And, we've got Ron saying, I washed my daily driver this morning just to get the pollen off.
Oh, boy.
Pollen has been crazy lately where we are.
Yep.
I don't know everybody's specific location, but Ron, I know your general spot. And you guys got a lot of trees over there too. So definitely a lot of that. Alex, shout out to Girl Math. If you use cash, it's free, right?
Absolutely.
No paper trail.
Yep.
Let's see. We've got, boom. Page 5. Man, we are 5 pages behind. I got a cruise.
Oh, my goodness.
I promised everybody we'll get out of here at 4 on the dot like we promised to. Neil, Toyota Thursday. Hope you're all doing well, TRC.
We're great.
Oh,
Thanks,
thank you, Neil. Hope you're having a good one, too. And Jeff, I just had a neighbor contact me because a dog had a severe number 1 and number 2 episode in their car. Ooh. What products and methods would you recommend? Sydney, how many dog accidents have you had to deal with in cars?
So many.
And anything could do to help the guy.
So I got to go back to that 3-step carpet system. So the enzyme cleaner, absolutely essential when you're dealing with bodily fluids. That is exactly what they're built for. It's the only thing that's going to break down number 1. So you definitely want to use the enzyme cleaner. Do not ever just put soap over that.
Oh, no. Absolutely
so definitely need the enzyme cleaner. And then obviously Carpet Bomber is going to take out, and get that all washed out. I would definitely use a steamer. And then the finisher, obviously, I'm going to sound like a broken record on that today, but I can't tell you how amazing that system is, and it will take care of this issue for you. You know what? I have to tell because I actually have had this a lot. But the worst one I had was when a guy called me. This was probably 8 years ago, and he said, back. Yeah, it's been a while. And he said, I had 2 dogs. One was old. The other one somehow got sick. He was taking them both to the vet, like in an emergency situation. 2 dogs in the back of like a 4Runner, and they both accidentally went number 1 and number 2 and passed away.
No.
In the car. And he called me the next day. They both did. One was old and one was sick. I don't know if they both were sick. Something obviously happened. Probably the dogs got into like antifreeze and he just didn't want to tell me that. But it was like everything was happening. Everything.
Jeez.
All ends, all things were happening, and then the dogs actually passed away in the car before he got to the vet.
So sad.
And so there was a lot of cleanup involved in that. Whereas today's age, I would probably say no, but the carpet system all the way.
Well, thank you for that update, and very sorry to whoever had that happen to them. I hope that doesn't happen to anyone else.
It was awful. Yeah.
Ronnie Hutt, very good point. $10 part, 4+ hours of labor. Talking about like my little AC clutch thing I had to deal with and other stuff. It is story as old as time. That's why you pull the old while you're in there. If somebody's already tearing apart your engine bay, it's like, well, you're already there. You need to hit a few other things while you're at it. All right, Bruce's Garage. Hey, Alex, thinking about you right now. I'm sitting in the airport waiting to fly to Atlanta and then home. All right, so I'm ending up with some back and forth. But let's see. Sheepstar saying you'll want some serious enzyme-based cleaners. I would look into some professional carpet cleaner videos and see how they tackle it. Peroxide will handle staining, but the enzymes are needed.
Yeah. That's why the 3-part system's so great, is that Dave has literally laid it out for you. It starts with enzymes, then we go to the cleaning, and then the peroxide, which is going to handle stains and odors and neutralize everything.
Once again, it does a ton of work without you even needing an extractor. It's awesome. Joey Belinsky. Dane, do you clean your cars before date night, or are you a heathen?
Oh, gosh.
I may still be a heathen, but I do clean my cars before date night because that is... Yeah, one way or another, the car's getting cleaned. It may not be me doing it, but the car's going to get cleaned. Whether I have to go and pay at the front of the tunnel at the little booth or whatever, like one way or another, I'm not showing up with a filthy car. That's just a bad, especially if it's like a first date, a bad first impression kind of thing. You don't want to do that.
No.
Like people, you may not think people are judging it. They're probably judging.
Yeah.
Little things.
Yep.
Bruce Dane goes on dates. Oh, thanks, buddy.
Oh.
And then I've got, yes, I do. All right. PNS system, yes.
Yep.
All right. ProShy, well, was it clean when he picked you up from the airport? Okay, so we're going back and forth with some comments. Gabe, will Carson please show us the before and after on the interior when he's done?
That'll be next week's show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that last week, Gabriel.
That's we haven't done like a full-on interior detail yet with any of these Q&As, but I feel like that's coming at some point. We'll need to set up a Jimmy Cam though, like a mobile unit to get in there, and we'll need some lighting inside the car.
Angles on an interior detail, Dane. I don't know.
You know what though? If you don't try, how will you ever know?
It's true.
All right. So, yes, Sheepstar, you need enzymes meant for pet waste. Peroxide will work at the end, but you'll want some serious stuff, especially if it's old. Yes. Travis here saying, I go through touchless car washes every now and then. After I'm through, I spray it down with Bee Maker and dry it off. Travis, that's a great policy.
Yep.
I mean, people knock, car washes, tunnel washes. Yes, they use chemicals that are, frankly, like... cheaper by the dozen in a lot of cases. They're going to be really strong and not particularly graceful in the way that they wash off or whatever. You're going to have some weird spots. But if you go over it, especially if you dry it yourself, you like keep a towel with you in the car and you're just in a hurry and you just want to clean off whatever gunk's on there. You can save the details for something special, specific. That's okay. But sometimes all you need is a tunnel wash.
Yeah. Yep.
But try and avoid the brushes if you can help
and the
it.
most important thing is drying it off after you get out. Like, that's the worst thing is when I see people drive off and they still have all the chemicals on the car.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not dry. Like, they're necessary evils, but the most important thing is to dry it off.
Yeah,
for sure.
As if it were any mystery why the windshield washer well, that whole trough below your windshield wipers, just ages poorly and stuff. It's because of if you go through car washes, all the chemicals kind of like to rest there and just hang out.
Yeah.
And
they don't
always cycle through the
Yeah.
vents that are supposed to be the drains. They sit.
Yep.
Archer Nerds, using Amplify for a while and done a rinseless wash this week and use it as a drying aid. Then notice there's less hydrophobic on it than past weeks. Maybe my base ceramic sealant is gone? ? What do you think?
Probably. I mean, if you just had a ceramic sealant, I mean, those, and I don't care what any company says, they don't last that long. Like, it sounds great. And in a controlled environment, something might last a year. But if you're washing your car, if you're going through the car wash, if you're washing your car yourself, don't expect to get much more than like 3 to 6 months out of any ceramic sealant. And again, doesn't mean it's totally gone. It just means that any of the characteristics like the hydrophobics are going to be gone. Because that, again, does not go through all the way through. So for sure, just using Amplify, which is a fantastic product. I love Amplify. But if you just have a ceramic sealant, you're probably going to want to put that back on there every couple months, honestly. And I mean, so many of them now are so easy to put on that, I mean, I love putting sealants on.
Sure. Yeah.
So don't try to push them, to like 9 months to a year. Just go ahead and use them. Yeah.
No,
they're
not
great.
to be that guy, but like when it comes to the sealants and stuff, you don't have to be that stingy with it, like trying to stretch it out so far. I mean, the product, just use it. I realize there's a financial component of this stuff. You can't just magically, like we do, just pull another bottle and keep going. But at a certain point, it's kind of diminishing returns trying to stretch that stuff out beyond its real workable limits.
Yeah. And back in the day, 10 years ago, if you had told me I had to put a ceramic sealant on every 3 months, I'd probably cry because they used to be hard. They used to be hard to put on. Now they're so easy. And like when I look at Defender, I mean, what is Defender? I think it's like $23 a pint, and you use like not even an ounce of it.
Yeah. Whereas with Beatmaker, you're using a lot, but its benefit was it was always pretty cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
And it smells really good. But Defender, that's where you go when you want to get more longevity out of that.
Yeah.
All right. So Essential here. I bet you Carson is having so much fun. I would be so excited with all those chemicals and cool equipment around me.
It's half the reason I love my job. So. And I get to work with amazing people like these guys. So.
Oh, jeez. He's just saying that because Gabe's not in the room.
It's true. Yep, I agree with that.
Well, I appreciate you being honest with us. Then I've got Hydra Detailing. Would love the wish list feature. Then I can keep the items I think of in the list and order when my order is big enough as a business. Yeah, Hydra. That's definitely something I want the web team to think about. I know they're very busy, but I'm sure
I would love it
we
too.
can add that to our wish list of things to add. It wasn't that creative, but thanks. Let's see. We've got Joey. Joey says, I promise I don't pay any of these people to plug our podcast, but I really appreciate it. Joey, you guys have genuine word of mouth, people who care, people who love it. And frankly, you guys do a great job.
Yeah.
So I want to see the Detail Grind podcast survive, thrive, and grow. And if it's a symbiotic relationship where people want to say something nice about it here, I'm more power to them.
Yep.
I'm happy to see it. You're good people over there. All right. AT4. Sounds like the M22 are going to finish the murder of my wash machine. The 1500 started. Man, all right.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, AT4, you're being pretty intense with that, but if you enjoy the M22, go for it. Anna says she's got to catch up on the Detail Grind. Agreed. Jose Martinez. Hey, how's it going, Jose?
Hey.
Says, hi, Dane, and rest of the fellas. And not fella, that's okay too. Or,
okay.
Fellas. Well, it's like when people say,
I'm
hey,
part
guys.
of the fellas. It's fine.
Yeah. Sydney says it's okay. It's okay. Let's see what page I'm on. That is, we are a ways back. I got to keep this cruising. Essential here. Essential wants to know, what brush did Carson use on that lower grill?
He did, in fact, use the wheel and body brush.
Oh, because David Boyce asked earlier. And 217 says the Ultra wheel and body brush. So there you go. Nice. And then I've got Joey wondering, I'd like to know what Carson is planning to dress those tires with.
Oh, buddy, you already saw it. You already know.
Sheepstar says OG drying aid.
Yeah.
I'm not Gabe.
It's okay.
Joey says, I didn't say Gabriel.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Joey. Gabe walked into the room and immediately started staring down Carson. I think we might have hurt his feelings. The hostile life. Man, I hope your life's not hostile. I already said that last time, but it's true. I hope you have a good life, not a hostile one. Do you recommend tossing the USS, that's the Ultra Safe Sponge, if dropped on the ground or outside? Or is there a different protocol compared to clay and microfibers? So I'm going to say with the Ultra Safe Sponge, the USS, I think it is possible to clean it off enough that it does work. It is useful. Yeah. It is meant to pick up dirt, debris, things like that. Yeah. If it falls in the dirt, being that it's foam, I think that with proper wash, and you got to be careful. It's up to your own judgment.
Yeah.
You determine what you think is the right amount of clean on it before you go applying that back to your paint. But I think it's possible with the USS. I would not say that with a clay bar or microfiber towels, because microfiber, they just want to grab everything.
They just want to
Those
hold
fibers
on to it.
yank up dead leaves, stuff like that. Oh, it's the worst. As soon as that happens to a towel, that thing is dead. You're not using it for anything other than maybe your wheel wells.
Yeah.
Yeah, even door jambs, that's like a bridge too far. But clay, when you say clay, you are hopefully meaning a clay bar, like a traditional clay, because actually, if you're using a synthetic clay, such as a clay mitts or the ultra clay towels, any of the ultra clay that's not a clay bar, you can reuse it, even if it falls on the ground, gets dirty. That's the whole appeal of the mitt or the towels. They can be rinsed off, washed thoroughly, and you're good to keep going. With a clay bar, though, everybody knows you drop that sucker, it's game over. You got to get a new clay bar. And they're not cheap. Yeah. So that is something to be aware of. But no, hopefully that answers your question. You should be able to clean it enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Sheepstar, Hostile Life, I just redunk a couple times and carry on personally.
Yeah.
Yep,
Most of that stuff. And the only time
it.
I can see where that might be a problem is if you dropped it like in a pile of leaves or something, you know, with stuff that's actually going to stick in and embed into the sponge. But mostly everything should rinse away.
Then Sheepstar here saying, pro tip. Pre-rinse your driveway, wash area, and vacuum or mop your garage floors before a detail so there's less dirt before you start. I mean, if you're going to be one of those people who uses like a leaf blower to dry off the car when you're done, it's a good idea to clean up the floor and the stuff in the area before you do that so that you're not just blowing all the crap on the ground back onto the car. Yeah. Because I've seen people do that.
Yeah.
It's just a little ounce of prevention, right? Okay. Anna Longfield. What's she saying, Sid?
When are we going to get the whole PNS therapy line at TRC? So therapy is here, rehab is here, intervention, TRC will get it. You know, they'll be one of the first to get it once it comes out. I do know that the abrasive is currently being made, so the kiln is on. It is firing away. So we should only be a few weeks out.
Okay.
So it should be here soon.
So not too long.
Yeah.
That's what we're here. Kind of like the M22. It's in the near future. It's not here yet, but it's not far away either.
But TRC will get it as soon as it is made.
Joey's right, saying what I said, basically, about microfiber. You can't once it falls on the ground, but the sponge, you could.
Yep.
And RJ saying, that's why I asked the experts. I do have both sprayers. Good man, RJ. Perfect. So you know the drill then. With the multi versus foam, you're not going to foam O&R. Not regular O&R, no matter how hard you try.
Yep.
All right. Dan's Diamond Detail. Did you really just say the HH? I don't know. I think I missed it. Oh, boy. Oh, I think they're pulling the the Marvel Comics Hydra. Like, I said hi Hydra, and they're like, oh, he said Heil Hydra. They're like, no. Yeah, look out for that. Funny. That's a no bueno. Yeah, no, not good. Red Skull, bad guy. Tony M. Oops, I have a 2-week in a row habit now of accidentally texting Sydney during the live Q&A and then going, oops. It's Q&A time. Yeah, it happens.
It's all right. I'll get back to you here in a little bit.
Come on, why aren't you responding?
I know.
I don't know. Have you looked? Detailing Vibes 2006. What's a good wheel coating and what steps?
Oh, so I'm kind of on the train that I don't love it when there's just wheel coatings, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. That's just me, okay? But I like a coating that can go on any surface. I don't like to have a ton of bottles. I don't like to have a ton of rules. So I'm a big fan of coatings that can go on nearly any surface. So obviously I'm a huge fan of Stout on wheels. Inspiration Classic is a very good wheel coating. CCI has, their coating is just for paint, but it's great on wheels. So there's a lot of them out there that do a great job on wheels. The thing to remember about wheels, though, is no matter what coating you put on, whether it's a 3-year or a 5-year, it's probably not going to last quite even a year. So just keep that in mind. That time frame does not translate to wheels. It's a different substructure, and wheels, think about how we talked about the abrasion. That is so weird. It's Dave and Buster's. Why would Dave and Buster's call me? And so abrasion. So we're using harsh chemicals on the wheels, and we're using brushes. I mean, we are all in on the abrasion on wheels. So, and the heat that wheels put off. So coatings are not going to last as long on wheels. Steps are just clean them super, super well, use your paint prep, and then apply like normal, honestly.
The main appeal, the reason wheel coatings as a category even exist, a lot of it has to do with like high heat coatings,
Yeah.
stuff that can
Yeah.
handle the extra stress
Right.
that an exhaust, say the metal on exhaust
Yeah.
or wheels get put under, because you may not realize it, but when you brake, especially like going down a hill or something, or
Yeah.
braking heavily, you generate a lot of heat.
So much heat.
A
Yeah.
lot of heat.
Yeah.
And the wheels obviously experience that. And that's different than what the rest of your car experiences. Even if it's sitting out in the sun, it's nowhere near what your wheels are going to be facing. So
Right.
there's a reason why, like you're saying,
Yeah.
if you just have a coating that's tough all the way around, it can deal with that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But for the specialty ones out there that say they're like wheel coatings, it's usually a big part of that is because they're designed to handle high heat.
Yes, for sure. But then, like I said in the beginning, too, remember that one of the reasons I coat my wheels is because I like the hydrophobics, right?
Yeah.
I like the
They're a pain to clean,
Yes.
right? So you want it to be easier.
Yes, and so they're going to lose their characteristic after a while, but it doesn't mean the coating's gone. But so keep that in mind on
It's
wheels
just
too.
sleepy.
Is that the characteristics that we all know and love on wheel coatings are going to burn off fairly quickly.
Three great ones.
Yeah.
C5.
I knew you'd say C5. Yep.
C5. Love C5.
Wheel armor.
Diamond Protect wheels, great, and then Armor Detail
Diamond wheels
Supply,
is great. Yeah.
the wheel coating there. Pro tip too: when you are drying off your wheels, you use like a spray sealant, like beads from ADS. Spray it on there, 2-3 sprays, and it kind of boosts that hydrophobic properties. So I've been doing that recently. Makes them a lot easier to clean.
Yep. Excellent point. And I'm really going to try and cruise through these last few comments because I got a few pages and only 12 minutes to do it.
Okay, let's do this.
So chromatic here. Perfect coating for Mr. Sheep. He's referring to the new Optimum one that fills in swirls and stuff. Awesome. And Sheepstar saying, I was just thinking about a video around that. Sheepstar, that'd be a great idea. You should totally do a video about seeing if you can seal up marring, swirls, that kind of stuff.
Please
Detailing
do.
vibes. What can I use to dress the plastics, or could I ceramic coat them?
Full send.
I mean, there you go. He's got big full send fans. Awesome. And then Sheepstar, checks price. Yeah, gonna need a few more YouTube paychecks for that one. I mean, that's life there. There you go. Now I've got Miyanka. Srivastava. Sorry, I probably butchered that.
That
My
was
bad.
pretty good try.
I tried. First time reading it out loud. Hey there, first time here. Thank you for doing this. And what is your best spray bottle for O&R to be used at home? Thank you. Good question. And I apologize if I messed your name up. I was really trying here. But to answer your question, if you're spraying O&R, Optimum no rinse, then you can use most spray bottles. I would say IK sprayers, you can use a trigger sprayer if you like, or if you'd rather not be pulling the trigger constantly, you can go the multi route. So like a multi Pro 2, something like that is an excellent bottle if you're doing small amounts, or if you're feeling crazy, if you want to just do a whole car, Carson knows like the tint and PPF sprayer will go forever. It's probably way overkill. I mean, it's good if you have a shop and you're regularly doing cars, but Carson,
Sid
you
knows
want to
about
add to
that.
that.
Yeah, Sid knows about it. I mean, going to her shop, that's all she uses. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I use all three, honestly. I use the keg sprayer first because you can literally soak an entire car with that stuff. I use the IK a lot. Just the multi Pro, right? So I use that a lot, and then just for smaller stuff, I use just a regular trigger sprayer. So I use it all three.
Yeah. I would say just for like build quality, the IK stuff is really tough. I love the IK sprayers. Even the trigger ones, I would rather use those than another cheapy one I can find at Home Depot. I understand there's a price difference, but I mean, if you're going to be using these seriously with any kind of intent for a long time, the IK ones last. It's nice to have. Hydra detailing, normal TR1 or multi 2 from IK.
There we go.
And we carry those. So if you're curious to check it out, by all means, please do, Miyank. And then I've got Dane's Diamond Detail, loves the IK ad music. And I said it goes hard. Then Juice Free popping in with a fun fact saying India is the largest detail market in the world.
Interesting.
I believe that. India has a massive population.
Interesting.
There are a lot of cars, and I imagine in a lot of cases there are a lot of dirt roads outside the cities where things get really dirty really fast. So I can definitely see that. And then I've got Ronnie Yacht also giving me some advice with a couple IK pump sprayers. Yes. And
anything that starts with IK is going to be great with rinseless wash. Honestly.
Then we go here. Buff and Tony says, there, I
Buff
fixed
and
my
Tony.
name.
There we go.
Steve Pearson. I was wondering where this guy went. Missing him.
Yeah.
Just got off work. Driving home. Hope everyone is doing well. I hate that I can't attend these in their entirety. The Rav4 is looking good. Thank you, Steve. And
Carson's
shout out
killing it
Carson
back
for
there.
doing a great
Yeah.
job. All right. And then Juice. Come on, chat. The algorithm doesn't control us. We control the algorithm. That's right, Juice. You guys have the power to make these videos either seen by more people or fewer. All you got to do is like it, and when it's over and it gets processed by YouTube and becomes a video later on, leave a comment down below it, maybe with some more detailing questions, and help each other out. All right. Archie Nerds here saying, is it just me, or I enjoy the 1500 more than the Gauntlet? Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gauntlet, crazy design. It's patented. It's its own unique thing. But the 1500, awesome twist loop pile, and it's a beefy towel. It's a big old beefy boy. Charleston. Hey, Charleston. Nice to see you
Nice
here.
to
It's
see
been
you.
a minute. Happy Thursday, everybody. I agree, Charleston. Happy Thursday to you. We got Sheepstar. Dane, I need to know. Is a towel wringer a good thing? I hate wringing out towels. Will this damage them long term? Sheepstar, I think in terms of the towel wringers, if depending on the one you're looking at, for something that you can just like crank a towel through it and it basically like pushes it through, pulls all the water out, you're not going to damage it as fast as you think. But I think over time it's going to beat them up a little bit. But I don't think it's going to kill them or anything. I mean, they're pretty tough and pretty resilient, depending on which towel you're putting through.
Yeah.
I think that's the big dependent
I've
part.
never needed to wring out my towels.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't need to, you don't need to. But,
Yeah.
I would say get a slim dryer, and then you can just do it with your hands easy.
Yeah.
So, Anton. I wish free shipping offer does apply to overseas orders as well. Anton, if you're curious or interested in making orders from us, but you live overseas, you can always take advantage of our friends in Europe or the UK, where we have TRC Europe, TRC UK, and of course we have TRC Australia. We have options around the world, but probably the one that gets used the most is a European one. So I would say check them out if you're in that vicinity, that region, anywhere in the greater EU area. Check them out and you'll be able to get shipping from there. Much easier to get products when they're already on your side of the world. All right. And then saying, hi, Ron. And Juice says, I saw a guy off the freeway the other day with a sign that said, we'll work for towels. Oh, boy. Okay, moving along. I don't know, man. Sheepstar. That detail just cost $4,000 in iron remover.
You should have smelled it.
Oh, man. Buff and Tony. He ain't paying for it, so send it.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Anna, can we get a smaller size of slim dryer? Probably would be a great wheel towel. Now, if you're looking for small towels like that, I'm going to say probably just go with an FTW.
An FTW or, fun fact, I actually had to wash one of Carson's wheels earlier.
Ooh.
And I used the little gauntlet, like the little baby
yeah, the
one.
little gauntlets
that
are
was perfect
great.
for drying a
Yeah.
wheel. It was awesome.
No, the smaller gauntlets
Yeah,
are really
loved
excellent
it.
for that kind of stuff. So
Loved
check
it.
that out if you
Yeah.
haven't given it a shot yet,
Yeah.
Anna.
Loved it. It was my first time using a gauntlet for that. I loved it.
Well, we got them all around here in the studio. And then Stephen Audette, can you use Koshemi's QS as a drying aid? Should I be using it on a wet or a dry vehicle? So the Quick and Shine, I mean, that's going to be used more or less like a quick detailer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not like FSC that has like the water spot remover built in for like more fresh, recent water spots and stuff. But in this case, QS is definitely just going to be like a quick detailer style of work. So, I mean, you can use it on a wet or dry vehicle. If it's wet, it's going to dilute it a little bit. But if it's dry, I mean, go on, use a towel. Easy peasy. Not anything too complicated. So drying aid wise, you can do it either way. But if you want to get a little more longevity out of it, go with a dry vehicle. Then I've got Big John. Should I avoid detailing my engine bay if I have hard water at home?
I don't necessarily think that that's really a factor unless you're not somehow drying it off. You know, you don't want to add minerals, mineral buildup to like your hoses and your metal pieces. But if you're not cleaning your engine that much, generally we're not going to get mineral buildup off of one time. But I have very hard water and I always just blow out the engine, and I've never had any water spots left behind. So, but what I would not do I would not rinse it and leave the water just sitting there to dry on its own.
Okay.
Then you could get water
No,
spotting.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I got rags and brushes. What's he saying?
What type of grease can I use in the cylinder inside the IK foam sprayers? I realize that gets stuck because the replacement kit at the moment, I can change it. I think he's saying, like, how can I
Carson
clean it
has something
thoroughly
to
without
say.
changing it?
It's funny that you say that. So I gave a bunch of IKs to my dad, and he was looking up how to re-grease them and everything like that. And it's some sort of food safe, like black grease.
Oh, okay.
And so it's on IK's website in their help side,
okay.
and they tell you which one to buy. But I'm assuming probably like a food safe black grease of some sort. But yes, I do remember that.
Cool.
No, excellent. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, so go check out IK's site. You can get more details there based on what Carson just said. I would say that's the way to go. Then Juice Free here saying the Slim Dryer was made for rinseless royalty. I mean, hey, if you're rinseless, if you're into soap, whatever you're into, Slim Dryer is going to take care of you. I promise you that. It's great. Archie Nerds here saying, should I bring my chemicals inside if the garage temp is 5 degrees Celsius? Or are they totally fine in that temp?
I wish I knew my conversion table. Is that hot or is that cold?
Well, 0 degrees Celsius would be freezing.
Okay.
So 32 Fahrenheit in that case. So 5 is a little above that.
A little bit above freezing.
Yeah.
I would bring them inside. I think that you really want to try to avoid nearing anywhere near freezing.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, also keeping in mind that just because the ambient air temp in your garage doesn't mean your cabinets are the same. But yeah, I mean, if it's getting that cold, I would probably store them inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I've got Sheepstar, Dane, and the Rag Company. What is one brand you would like to add to TRC that you don't have yet, and why is it chemical, guys? Oh, buddy, you know what? We can't give away the game. We're testing stuff all the time here. There's always things where either they're sent to us or we're seeking them out, checking it out, and I wouldn't want to give anything away. Yeah. So at the same time, it's a fun little fishing expedition you got there, but we're not biting. Sorry, we're not the fish for you today. Yeah. Not to say it's not worth trying, though. I mean, hey, keep at it. Anna here, it's the proximity key beeping. Yes. Then I've got Anna saying, I killed my Tacoma's battery because I locked my keys in my toolbox in the bed. Oops. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That sucks. That's not good. And Hydra here saying, loved our top 3 and good night. 11:21 p.m. here. Time for some sleep. That's excellent.
Yeah.
And Essential here, what's the difference between the blue clay scrubber and the others, the gray and red?
Nothing.
Yeah, no, you're going to get the same clay experience.
Yeah, so absolutely nothing. And if you actually look on the packaging for the gray and red one, it says made by the Rag Company.
Yes.
So they are exactly the same,
we
just
help
different
out
color.
On that front, so there, now you know. And the final one, even though I realize we're right at the final mark, this will be the last question. Sheepstar, FYI, if you ozone with a cabin air filter, if you can store it and release it back when you run the fan after, take it out for ozone, then install a new one after ozone has aired out.
Yeah,
there
just don't
go.
run it with it in. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I wanted to include that just as like, it's kind of a safety message, stuff like that. And it's also good, you know, if you're messing around with that stuff, you should really, really pay attention to instructions. And if you need to, watch a tutorial or something, by all means. That is worth every bit of time you spend on it. So that is it for today's show. I want to thank you all for showing up here. It's been an awesome time. Thank you so much, Sydney, for joining.
Thank you.
We'll do this more next week after that. You know, while Anthony's away, we will play. So Carson here, doing a great job. That Rav looks excellent. I just want to shout out Carson.
Thank you.
You started with a very dirty car, even if the cameras may have betrayed you a little bit there. It truly was dirty.
Yeah.
We full sent it.
The result has been full sent. I love it.
Absolutely.
Looks great.
Guys, gals, if you're watching, you haven't hit like it, hit that thumbs up. Helps us out in the old algorithm. And leave a comment below if you haven't already. Helps us out once again in the algorithm. And apart from that, I just hope you have a fantastic weekend. And take care. We'll catch up with you next week. Till then, see ya.